For more on all things fashion, we're joined by Joshua Williams, president of the Fashion Consort and assistant professor at the Parsons School of Design. Joshua, good to see you and welcome to the show. These fashion trends, I mean, we often talk about the luxury stuff, but there's a lot of fast fashion stuff that's out there as well. Let me start with you. What did you see this year that you thought was pretty exciting?
Well, we're seeing a lot of sheers this year, just a lot of see-through. I think there's just sort of an excitement around getting out there and, you know, for the summer, sort of showing off your body, sort of getting back out really and sort of, you know, uncovering, so to speak, from the last few years of COVID and sort of being locked at home.
Now, I have not thought about showing off my body, and so I'm thinking you must be focused on women's wear, but you know, that's not new though. I mean, has there been anything that's changed post-pandemic on trends that you see buyers, I guess both male and female, are there types of clothing that they're willing to spend? Because we went through 2 years where nobody went out to parties and concerts, so they did not get a chance to really dress up, right? So this year in particular is the first full year I believe we're going to have where people feel completely free to dress up for all the big galas and special events, not to mention weddings.
For sure. I mean, we're seeing a lot of really tailored clothing, especially in men's, things that are, you know, a little bit more thoughtful, obviously, in terms of how they're cut and the silhouette. We're also seeing with women a lot of sequins and things that have a little bling to them. I think, again, this is sort of about celebrating and getting back out there and enjoying life. We're also seeing a lot of bright colors like blues and, you know, just colors, again, that sort of celebrate life and again, getting out there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic. All the colors. I mean, that's what fashion should be about, right? It reflects how people feel. And one trend that we have talked about in the past is sustainable fast fashion. There's been a number of articles written about how clothing brands, and I won't name them, but have really hurt our goal of being sort of carbon neutral. And people talk about, well, buying used clothing, but there's also talk that some of these fast fashion, they want to make clothes that last. It doesn't rip after 3 or 4 weeks, because it is kind of a waste if you think about it. You keep buying clothes and then you just basically throw the old ones away. Even if you donate it, I mean, that's better, but if we can avoid buying new clothes constantly, that seems to make more sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, fashion isn't really that sustainable. It's all about selling new things and new products, and in many cases, things that we simply don't need. But in you know, many ways, it's sort of the fun of fashion, and that's, you know, it's sort of people go for. But that said, I think there's been a pretty big shift in terms of customer value around sustainability and just a bigger awareness in terms of what, you know, buying clothes often means for the environment. And I think, you know, obviously brands have had to take note of that. Some better than others, but certainly fast fashion brands have really had to kind of rethink a bit sort of how they fit into that narrative as customers sort of shift. We're definitely seeing a lot of trend towards vintage clothing and secondhand clothing. We're seeing a lot of people looking for pieces that are special. And again, I think this goes along with the trend of just finding things that make you feel individual, maybe make you stand out a bit, but also feeling good about perhaps buying something that's used and not something that's new.
Yeah, and let's go to the opposite, which is basically luxury brand buying, where you spend a lot of money to obviously look good and feel good. And then we talk about this economy. And on one hand, it's on fire, but on the other hand, there are pockets that are being impacted negatively. What trends do you see in the luxury fashion world? Is it clothing that's selling, or is it accessories that are selling? And where, as investors are concerned, where should they be looking at?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, luxury companies in many ways have been immune to a lot of the changes that we've seen throughout the last few years, and they've done quite well, obviously catering to the very, you know, sort of upper class in terms of their needs and desires. But that said, I think there was a bit of a concern, obviously, of looking overly branded, so to speak, or overly luxury by many. That in many ways, I think, has disappeared. I think there is sort of a hunger again for those brands. But again, perhaps a little bit different, maybe not so in your face. There are brands out there, luxury brands, that are sort of scaling back a little bit the big logos and things like that to sort of play along with that, so to speak. There's also been a trend, I think, even among luxury retailers to do resale. In other words, selling pieces of their own from past collections, from historical collections, as part of that trend, and sort of catering to that, and potentially, again, selling something that's unique, that's part of their heritage.
I know people who buy luxury brands, and they tell me the price, and then I laugh, and I don't know what to say, because it's clear to me that they're not price conscious, because the price doesn't matter, I guess, if you're in that category. Am I wrong about this? Like, there's no true discount luxury brands. Your goal is to spend as much money as possible.
For sure. I mean, luxury at the end of the day is about exclusivity, and one of the key ways of creating exclusivity is through price. And the idea is that a price is so high that only a few can get it, and that's what sort of gives its value. And to a degree, if you're able to, then those around you, know that you are able to spend that much to get that. It's also related to access, but obviously in a globalized world that we live in, access is a little bit less of an issue than it was in the past.
All right, two quick questions. We got the inflation situation that's happening. Some are making, I guess, predictions what's going to happen towards the end of this year. How does that impact buyers? And then my last question is, just give me the color of the year, and I got to pick out some new ties. I could use your advice.
For sure. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of headiness in terms of what is possible. I mean, the brands that really are engaging directly with their customers are those that are going to be the winners. I think those that are sort of not listening or not engaging are the ones that we need to be concerned about, and certainly those who are over leveraged in terms of their retail stores and footprints. We're seeing people scale back there. In terms of your tie color, it's all about cobalt blue, so you got to go get that blue this year.
All right, really great to see you. Thanks a lot, man. Have a fantastic day.